What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Paddy Pimblett reveals bad news. At UFC 304, streaking Scouser Paddy Pimblett will look to continue his climb up the rankings when he faces off with MMA veteran Bobby Green. While Pimblett is in the midst of a 5-fight winning streak inside the octagon, he recently indicated that his fight camp for UFC 304 could be the worst of his career. As he explained in a recent interview with the Mac Life, he doesn't want to be away from his wife and their newborn twins while training.
I don't want to go and stay somewhere else. I want to be there with them every day and every night, you know what I mean? But it's going to be hard. I've said this already to a few people, this is probably going to be the worst fight camp of my life, you know what I mean? It's going to be very hard. It's probably going to be the worst fight camp I've ever had, but it's one of them. You get on with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wish they weren't coming to the UK so soon, but at the same time, I want to get back in the cage, so it's one of them. Yeah. I've just got to get on with it.
Given his comments, the big question is whether or not the situation will negatively impact Pimblett's performance. Considering the worst camp of his career will coincide with the biggest fight of his career as he looks to crack the top 15, it'll be interesting to see how things play out this summer in Manchester for the baddie. Next, let's take a look at Tom Aspinall reacts to Jon Jones' prediction. While UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones is on a collision course with Stipe Miocic, who hasn't fought since his 2021 loss to Francis Ngannou, interim champion Tom Aspinall will be looking to defend his title against Curtis Blaydes this summer when the Octagon heads to Manchester. Ahead of the bout, Jon Jones indicated he believes Blaydes will wind up defeating the interim champ. During a recent interview with the Mac Life, Aspinall reacted to Jones' prediction that Blaydes will emerge victorious.
Well, he might, mate. It's heavyweight MMA at the top level. Someone always might win. I believe in myself. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm the best in the world. But does that make me invincible? No, absolutely not. Like, it's heavyweight MMA, one shot off Curtis. Yeah. And the ref might be waking me up. That's how it works. This is like heavyweight MMA at the peak, like the peak of the mountain. And yeah, of course, there's a chance I can get knocked out. I'm fully aware of that, but I'm putting it on the line. Yeah. And quite frankly, he isn't.
While Aspinall and Blaydes are gearing up to fight this summer, so far, there's been no official indication from the promotion, the UFC, as to when Jones and Miocic will fight. Next up, let's take a look at Kamaru Usman confused with Colby Covington's decision. Although a welterweight fight between Colby Covington and Ian Garry was something that seemed to excite the MMA community, the bout never ended up coming to fruition, with the latest reports indicating that the undefeated Irish contender could wind up fighting fellow striker Michael Venom Page on the UFC 303 card. As Covington explained, the ship has sailed in regards to the fight. However, former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman isn't quite sure why. As he explained on a recent episode of he and Henry Cejudo's Pound for Pound podcast,
first of all, I never understood why Covington and Ian Garry aren't fighting. Aren't they fighting, or are they not fighting? Listen, this is the thing about Colby Covington is as much as people want to hate on the guy, as much as people hate the guy, this guy knows how to create a big fight. And I think the reason he can create a big fight is because we all know it's a gimmick. We all know, but we still watch it. We still watch it. We all know. But I'm still going to tune in.
Covington's a mad scientist.
I get it, but my thing is, hey, if the Ian Garry fight, that had a lot of heat on it. That had a lot of steam on it. If you said no to that fight, then why would you now say you want to fight Charles Oliveira? But if he's doing it after turning down the Ian Garry fight, that's not a good look, Mr. Covington. That's not a good look.
As Usman and Cejudo discussed, Covington is interested in securing a bout with former lightweight champion Charles Oliveira. However, many are not sold on the fight, given that Oliveira will be moving up to welterweight for what is expected to be a one-off fight. Next, let's take a look at Daniel Cormier reveals dream schedule for Conor McGregor. Ahead of Conor McGregor's highly anticipated return next month, the former champ has no shortage of options on the horizon. Should he emerge victorious from his upcoming fight with Michael Chandler, McGregor could find himself in a fight with welterweight champion Leon Edwards, who has indicated that he would be willing to defend his title against McGregor as he pursues triple champ status. In addition, a possible fight with Islam Makhachev or a trilogy fight with Nate Diaz are both potential options that have been discussed. Ahead of the fight, Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier spoke about the bout on a recent episode of his Good Guy Bad Guy podcast with Chael Sonnen.
If he gets through Michael Chandler, Chael, I say give him a title fight. Put him in there with Poirier or Makhachev. on Mexican Independence Day or sometime soon thereafter, because you don't want to have him fighting or having too much time. If he loses, put him out there with Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson deserves to have that big platform the last time to see if he can go and do what he said he was going to do to Conor all those times and so long ago. And in December, let him do Max Holloway. Let him and Max Holloway fight. I want to see Conor McGregor and Max Holloway today, opposed to Max Holloway when they were children. The first time they fought, they were kids. I'd like to see the end of the year, as we head to Vegas, to end the year. I want to see Max Holloway get an opportunity to right that wrong against Conor McGregor, especially if it's the Max Holloway that we saw fight Justin Gaethje.
Of course, before McGregor entertains any other potential fights, the Irish star will have to get through a tough test in Michael Chandler after returning from an extended hiatus and one of the most gruesome injuries in MMA history. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight Updates. As we head into an off weekend for the UFC, let's take a look at today's UFC Fight Updates, starting with a new opponent for former light heavyweight champion Jamal Hill, who will now meet Carlos Ulberg at UFC 303 after Khalil Roundtree Jr. was forced out of the bout. Hill will of course be looking to bounce back from a UFC 300 loss to Alex Pereira, while on the flip side, Ulberg will be looking to extend a 6-fight win streak that has seen him finish all but one of those fights. The following month, reports have indicated that Steve Garcia Jr. will meet Sung Won Choi at UFC Vegas 94 on July 20th. The fight will see Garcia look to build on a 3-fight win streak that most recently saw him defeat Melquizael Costa back in December. And on the flip side, Choi will be looking to build on a decision win over Jarno Aarons back in August. The following week at UFC 304 on July 27th, Christian Leroy Duncan and Robert Burchek will compete in a middleweight bout that will see Duncan look to build on a 2-fight win streak. On the flip side, Burchek will be looking to bounce back from a February loss to Ihor Portieria. Later this summer at UFC 305, Tom Nolan and Alex Reyes will collide on August 17th in a lightweight bout that will see Nolan look to build on a May win over Victor Martinez. On the flip side, Reyes will look to snap a 2-fight skid that most recently saw him finish by Charlie Campbell back in September. Next, let's take a look at Dan Hooker teases UFC 305 fight card. While reports had previously indicated that Israel Adesanya would likely be returning to the octagon at UFC 305 in Perth, so far, the UFC has yet to release any official news on the matter. In the meantime, fans have been left to theorize and speculate. However, Dan Hooker recently spoke to Sky Sports Australia to share some inside info, indicating that he, Israel Adesanya, and Kai Kara France are all in talks to compete on the highly anticipated card.
We'll be in Perth with the boys. I think, yeah. From looking around the gym, obviously, there's talks that Israel will be myself, Israel and Kai coming up with UFC Perth. So yeah, I've got my eyes on Perth. Couldn't get an opponent for the McGregor card in June. So the next thing I have eyes on is obviously the Perth card. So I'm preparing for that. It'll be exciting. It'll be fun being in the gym with Izzy. It'll be fun being in the gym with Kai and all getting able to prepare together. Might have a hint at an opponent, but we'll have to save that for another day, I believe.
So far, there's been no word as to who Hooker could wind up competing against. However, considering the fact that he's ranked number 11 in the lightweight division, he could likely wind up fighting an opponent such as Benoit Saint-Denis, who is ranked 13th. In the case of Adesanya, the expectation is that the former champ fights Dricus du Plessis for the belt, while in the case of Kai Kara France, there's certainly no shortage of potential opponents for the exciting flyweight. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Chael Sonnen confused with Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva. Recently, surprising reports emerged indicating that former rivals Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva would be competing in a boxing match this summer in Brazil. Considering the fact that Sonnen has been retired from MMA since his loss to Lyoto Machida in 2019, many were not expecting him to return to active competition. While speaking on a recent episode of Funky and the Champ with Daniel Cormier, Askren questioned why Sonnen was boxing at all.
Chael, I love you. I don't know why you're boxing. I really don't know why Chael's doing it. Anderson is a very good striker. He's actually had multiple boxing matches. He did lose to Jake Paul.
Cesar Chavez.
But he beat Julio Cesar Chavez, who doesn't. So I don't know why. Chael maybe hopefully was honest and told you why he's doing it. I don't know why he's doing it. They're both 40. They got to be late 40s and they're boxing. Listen, I am team choose your own life, do what you want. I'm not going to tell people what to do, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we all have that competitive instinct in us, and some of us, we always want to kind of live that out, but I don't know if boxing is the best way for Chael to do it. I hope he does great.
According to Sonnen, not only is he coming out of retirement to fight Anderson Silva, he's also set to box Jorge Masvidal later this year. Of course, with Masvidal set to compete against Nate Diaz and Sonnen set to compete against Anderson Silva, both fighters will first have to get through their upcoming fights before anything is finalized. Islam Makhachev receives warning before UFC 302. Arman Tsarukyan sent Islam a warning about Dustin Poirier in a recent interview with the New York Post Sports. Here's what Arman had to say to Islam.
I see like Islam gonna try to push him to the cage to take him down and try to hold him, submit him. And but if he couldn't do that, if he can't do that, it's gonna be dangerous. If he wants to box him, I think Dustin Poirier in a different level. Like his punch, his speed, like he can knock him out very, very fast. So that's why Islam gotta try to take him down right away. So yeah, and for me, the favorite is Islam on this fight. But like I can put on my money on Dustin Poirier KO. So because it could be happening.
Conor McGregor also predicted the fight between Islam and Dustin, saying he thinks that Dustin will knock him out. Here's what Conor had to say.
How about Dustin and Makhachev? I think Dustin can do him. Yeah, I think Dustin does him, knocks him out. I think the things that Makhachev does wrong, the things he's not good at, he fumbles over his feet, usually early on, and falls into shots. He's been knocked out by a back check from a southpaw before inside the UFC, and that's one of Dustin's best shots. If Dustin's ever going to do it, it'll be this time. Obviously Dustin does his things bad also that feed into Makhachev's strengths, so it's going to be a good fight to see which one shows up, but it's all to play for. There is no clear favourite in it. If you look at Dustin's last fight, he was getting manhandled by Benoit Saint-Denis, and he stayed with it, and then caught him, got back to his feet, stayed with it, and landed his shot. So if ever, that's great experience to be going into this bout. If there's ever a chance for him to get it done, this will be it. Who do I wish for? Who would I like to see? Either or. I have history with both, and let's see how it goes.
Chael's Sonnen also warned Islam about Dustin striking ahead of their fight.
When you're dealing with a guy who doesn't give a damn what just happened, if he's beating you by 100 points or you're beating him by 100 points, he's coming at you full steam, Alex Pereira style. It's a lot to deal with, and that's what Dustin is, and that's why you're not betting your whole paycheck.
Top comments. When I first saw the photo of Paddy and Bobby pop up, I was like, yo, why is Macaulay Culkin about to fight Tech 9? Bilal didn't get the memo. UFC doesn't want to be the NFL or NBA. Dana isn't going to silence anyone because drama sells. The fact no one likes him is his fault. You need to be loved or hated to sell tickets, and Bilal simply exists. Leon is weak mentally. Come on, Bilal. That statement is so absurd. Chandler walks around at 190. He looks the same. He just has to cut less. Why are people thinking he looks bad?